supporters for Carmelo Anthony and supporters for Austin Metcalf. We're going to talk about day 2 of that trial. Nichelle Nichols, who was Uhura on Star Trek, the original Star Trek, her family was awarded 13 million in a wrongful death lawsuit for how a hospital handled her being sick when she went in there for help. And then we're also going to talk about James Handy, who was an actor on Top Gun Maverick. He was fatally stabbed to death by his girlfriend's son. So we got to get into what's going on. Let's talk about Carmelo Anthony and day 2 of this trial. So tensions are getting high as this trial is continuing out in Texas. You have supporters for Austin Metcalf and his family, and you have supporters for Carmelo Anthony. And both sides feel very passionate about who they are supporting, and that passion is spilling over in the it looked like the front of the courthouse. There was some arguments that were going on between the two. It's very unfortunate that race is playing such a strong role in this case, because I don't believe it had anything to do with the interaction between these two young men, but the fact that grown adults are playing up on that instead of really focusing on the fact that a young man lost his life due to maybe a misunderstanding or an altercation or whatever may have occurred under that tent, that we are learning as this testimony unfolds. I wish it would just stick to kind of those facts and not any of those outside factors, but unfortunately, this is just not going to be one of those cases that you're going to be able to get away from that. Let me know what you think in the comments here. There's been some discussion about the jury makeup, and I guess there are some people of color, although there is no black jurors on this jury. It is my understanding the county in which this trial is taking place, there is a small population of Black people in that area. So it's not likely to have many Black jurors, or it's going to be a small pool to choose from. There were 3 Black female jurors that were potentially going to be on the jury, but they were stricken by the defense for being educators, and they did not want to have any educators there. So they're saying that those 3 were stricken not for racial reasons, but because they did not want them there as an educator, and a judge ruled that that was acceptable, and they were able to move forward with that. So let's get into what occurred here. This is reporting from TMZ. Victims' parents, Carmelo Anthony's murder trial victims' parents in tears watching paramedics try to save their son. Very sad that this young man, Austin Metcalf, lost his life. May he rest in peace. I can't imagine what his family is feeling or what his twin brother is feeling. It's very unfortunate he did not get a chance to graduate from high school, and he won't get a chance to grow up, go to college, and experience all of those different things in life. Let's definitely keep him in your thoughts and his family in his thoughts, because I know that that's going to take a lot of time to get used to. Nobody expects to bury their child, and I'm sure that his twin brother did not expect to lose his brother, especially at that particular type of a track meet situation. Let's get into this emotional testimony and emotional video that was played in court today. This is from an article from TMZ. Emotional moment in Carmelo Anthony murder trial. Tears started flowing as prosecutors played body cam footage of paramedics trying to save Austin Metcalf from a fatal stab wound. Let me know, could you sit in the courtroom and watch that? Would you want to be in the courtroom as the parent, or would you sit it out? I'd have to say, given the circumstances, I'm not sure if I could be in there, at least during this part, because I just couldn't watch that. It would really mess me up mentally. I could not watch that. And I know I couldn't save my child, and I had to be subjected to watching something that's happening that I want to change in real time, and I can't. I just don't think I'm mature enough to handle that. Let me know if you could do that. I'm very curious to hear if that's something you think you can handle. Let's keep going with this story. The gut wrenching footage played in court Friday showed paramedics giving Austin CPR after he was stabbed at a Texas high school track meet. He's unresponsive on the ground as they try to save his life. Ooh, just I could not imagine. My heart goes out to everybody who had to come and see that, or who was impacted by that. It just sounds so traumatizing. For a day, you just probably thought was going to be competition with people running and doing hurdles, and it just turned into something else. And now it's, national attention, and names that we may never have known are now going to be infamous. Let's get back into the article here. It was hard for Austin's parents to watch. I could only imagine. They broke down in tears, and they were held by family members while the footage played. I couldn't have done it. Prosecutors showed the intense scene after Frisco police officer Jacob Shawls, the cop who found the alleged murder weapon took the stand. Shaw's testified he found the knife in the bleachers, quote, approximately 3 to 4 rows up above the crime scene, end quote. The prosecution showed a picture of the bloody knife, which reportedly looks like a 5-inch folding knife. Let me know what you think about having to listen to that testimony in court about what occurred with your child losing their life. This one is so emotional and so intense on both sides. I just don't know how either parents are able to kind of listen to that and be okay. I don't think anybody's going to come out of this being the same. This has changed and touched many lives, many lives, and it unfortunately has changed that direction they're going to go in, and it could impact Carmelo's ability to have a life at all. And sadly, Austin did not get the opportunity to continue his. And let's get back into this here. He also told the court he found Carmelo's backpack and covered it to protect any evidence from the rain. The backpack and the knife were both entered into evidence. As you know, Carmelo's charged with murder for allegedly stabbing Austin to deletion. He's pleaded not guilty. The trial got underway this week, and if convicted, he could face life in prison. So we are definitely following this trial. They don't have any cameras in there. You're not able to hear any audio. So kind of relying on people who are in the courtroom to come back and give a description of what they're hearing and what's going on in there. But apparently it was very emotional from all the different people who were able to be in the courtroom that have come on and talked about it. That was a pretty emotional part for Austin's family. And I just couldn't imagine watching that. Very heartbreaking. And then for me to hear people sobbing, like when you get that real gut feeling, crying, and if I hear that, that's just going to start messing me up. I honestly don't know how they could sit through that. It would be too much for me. Way too much for me. But we're going to see. I saw that there was some interaction between supporters of Carmelo Anthony and supporters of Austin Metcalf that were, hurling racial insults towards each other. And it's just so unfortunate. I really don't like that things start coming down to that type of stuff and those kind of comments and remarks are hurled towards one another. I feel like, first of all, it's so lowbrow, but it's not at all about what this whole case is for. And I just feel like it's a total distraction from what we should be focused on. And the fact that people are putting energy into that is just to me terrible, or even the fact that they're harassing people out there. I think you're allowed to support who you want to support. I mean, that's the beauty of being in this country. I just don't feel that it needs to come down to violence, or that you can't do that without having to be disrespectful or harmful to the other side. We're definitely watching what's going on out there in Texas after the Cyrus Carmack Belton case where Rick Chow was found not guilty. Tensions are high. Tensions are high. Both of those situations involved two Black males who were not adults, teenagers. And now Carmelo is 19, but at the time this incident occurred, he was 17. And when Cyrus lost his life, he was 14 years old. So they're not quite adults, and their lives are changed, or one person's life was lost, and that person was found not guilty. So it's got a lot of eyes on it. In this case, I just feel like is gonna be one. I don't know if it'll have the same seismic energy as OJ's case, but it's definitely, I think, one of those top ones that a lot of people are paying attention to and care about. It's supposed to go on for about 2 weeks, as I understand. So we're going to see a lot unfold. We're probably going to hear about a lot. And you can definitely get your updates here. So if you have not already done so, we'd love to have you a part of the Aries crew. Just hit that subscribe button and then make sure you have that notification bell on so you can find out every time we go live and you don't miss out on these updates. Let's get into what was going on, what they're trying to say occurred prior to the fatal stabbing that happened. This is an article from TMZ. Prosecutors say surveillance video will show Carmelo Anthony wasn't trying to avoid trouble at a Texas high school track meet that turned deadly. He was looking for it. That's the message jurors heard Thursday as opening statements got underway in Anthony's murder trial over the fatal stabbing of fellow teen Austin Metcalf. Collin County prosecutor Bill Bursky told the jury the case boils down to what they will see on the surveillance footage. The surveillance footage has not been made public, so we won't be able to see that. But there is apparently footage of the tent, which is not a tent, it's a canopy. So it was open on all sides, but it did have a covering on top. And apparently there was not one for Centennial High School, which is the high school that Carmelo was going to, if I have the name of that high school right. And just one for Memorial High School was up, which is the high school that Austin Metcalf and his brother Hunter went to. And that's the tent that Carmelo had went into, and that's where they had met up. And then that unfortunate situation ended up turning deadly. So allegedly, Carmelo knew someone who was in that tent. And I heard that it was his girlfriend. I'm not exactly sure if that is the case or not, but he knew someone in that tent, may or may not have been a girlfriend. And he went over to talk to that person. So that's why he had went over there to begin with. But it was also pouring rain, but it didn't seem like the rain was the initial cause for that. They saw somebody that they knew and they went to go talk to him. I don't understand why it was a problem for him to be under the tent just because he didn't go to that school. But, as this unfolds, whatever words were exchanged between those two, we'll find out, or at least the perception from those who were there on what those words were that were exchanged between those two that, took it up a notch here. And apparently there was some physical fighting that took place between these two as well. So we'll see, but that's kind of the setting the scene of what was going on there. And then apparently Austin and his brother had confronted Carmelo about you need to get out of the tent. And then, it went all left from there. And then we're gonna jump back into the story here. According to prosecution, witnesses heard Anthony tell Metcalf, "Go touch me and see what happens," after a dispute erupted inside a team tent. The state argues those words weren't a warning, they were an invitation. Now, I don't think that they were an invitation. I think it was said in the context of like, it if you touch me, you're gonna find out what's gonna happen. Not like I want you to do that, but like I'm letting you know you will find out if you do that. And I don't know that he meant it so much so as I want you to do that if he did in fact say that. I just think it's the way that those words are used are not necessarily an invitation. It's kind of like I wish you would come over here and slap me. Not that I necessarily want you to slap me, but I'm saying like if you do, it's going to be a problem. That's wording it as like a warning type of thing is the way I think that context was meant. But the state is arguing he was saying that like come on and do something, and then he took him up on that, and then that ended up causing him to lose his life, is the way they're trying to frame it. Now, let me know what you think. Would you interpret that as a warning or an invitation? Let me know in the comments here. Just leave warning if you would say warning, or leave invitation if you would take it as an invitation. Orsky told jurors the evidence will show Anthony provoked and goaded Metcalf into making physical contact and then escalated the confrontation by pulling a knife and stabbing the 17-year-old in the chest. We take a pause here for comments. Hammy, welcome. Thank you so much for stopping by. Shan, welcome. Thank you for stopping by. Appreciate you. Prosecutors describe the killing as a quote senseless murder end quote, and they said witness testimony, video evidence, and Anthony's actions after the stabbing will support their version of events. Anthony's defense team sees things much differently. Defense attorney Mike Howard argued Metcalf was the aggressor and Anthony acted in self-defense after being confronted. Howard told jurors his client feared for his safety and used the knife only once during what he described as a fast-moving encounter. So do you think that it was self-defense, or do you think that he had the intent of harming that young man? Bear in mind, they do not know each other. That was established in court. They did not have any prior interaction of knowledge of each other before that particular incident. The universe is wild sometimes, how it puts you in spaces and situations like this. And I can tell you, those two families will never be the same. I am pretty confident that a run of the mill track meet, nobody ever intended to become some national story and national coverage. And my hat's off to all of them. I can't even imagine the death threats, the nasty messages, and all that type of stuff that they have to experience going through something like this. There's no winners in this situation at all, but we are definitely following the story here. And we want to get into the actor, James Handy, that was stabbed to death by his girlfriend's son. So I don't know what's going on here with that particular method here of harming people, but second one I'm hearing about. And we're going to get into this particular story here. Very sad. So this was him in the movie Jumanji, the one that had Kirsten Dunst in it. So I want to say the one that was with the great Robin Williams. And let's get into, he was 81. I'm so sorry you lost your life this way. This is an article from TMZ. We're going to react to it together. A longtime Hollywood character actor is dead after a shocking stabbing, and the cops say the man accused of killing him is his girlfriend's son. According to LAPD, 81-year-old actor James Handy, whose credits include Top Gun Maverick, which was a really good movie. Let me know if you saw that in the comments. Leave an airplane if you saw Top Gun Maverick in the comments. Jumanji and Arachnophobia. Leave a spider if you remember that movie Arachnophobia. That I still haven't seen it to this day because I was so scared behind spiders. Spiders have never been my thing, and I think I saw that trailer and I was like, no, I'm good. And I like scary movies, but to this day I've never seen Arachnophobia, and was found Wednesday morning in front of a Tarzana home with a stab wound to the chest. Oh, not even in the home, outside. That's terrible. He was rushed to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. Police say the suspect, 44-year-old Michael Geltil, made a bizarre 911 call before dispatchers arrived, allegedly telling dispatchers, quote, "I am the son of a man. I just killed the man of sin," end quote. That was weird. When police arrived at the scene, officers say Geltil flagged them down and admitted he was the person they were looking for. Very, very sad. I don't know what caused. This is the actor here in Top Gun Maverick. This is what he looked like in that role here. I don't know what caused that situation to go south here, where he felt the need to respond that way to his mother's boyfriend. That's just really crazy. And at his age of 81, I'm really trying to understand, like, why would this guy feel so threatened that you need to harm this man in that way? I don't get it. Let's see. Okay. The claims, this is an article from TMZ, claims alleged killer's son had schizophrenia and stopped taking meds. Wendy Geltil, the mom of the man accused of killing her actor boyfriend, James Handy, tells TMZ her son had been struggling with serious mental health issues and was diagnosed with schizophrenia, but he stopped taking his medication. That kind of makes sense because I was thinking, wow, that's a really strong response to a man that I'm confident was not a threat to you. Why would you need to hurt him in that manner? But if he's not in his right mind, then that probably didn't register to him. He was doing way too much. According to Wendy, her 44-year-old son, Michael Geltil, had become increasingly paranoid and had been prescribed medication for his condition after his July 2025 diagnosis. Do you think mom should have probably stopped having contact with her son if he had that kind of mental health issues? Because, when you reach a certain age and if your kid's got a lot of stuff going on and you can't really physically overpower them and they can overpower you, there might be a time when you got to be like, ugh, we might need to have some distance between us because you could be a danger to me. Very sad. Very, very sad. All of us are going to get older one day. And, I just pray that you don't get taken advantage of or be in a situation where you could be harmed, because you're not always going to be as physically strong, fast, and as fit as you are right now. And it's a blessing to age. but it also puts you in a really harmful, dangerous situation, and it's just so sad when you have to lose your life and then it's a family member, it's girlfriend, son, it's very touchy. My heart goes out to them. I don't That's seemed like something that could have been avoided to me. Let me know what you think in the comments. We'll get back into this article. It says, however, she says she recently learned he had stopped taking his meds about a week before cops found James stabbed to death outside her home. Wendy says Michael and James didn't always see eye to eye, but their relationship was generally cordial. I don't know if we could say that, because how did he get to that level then of doing that to that person if they have a cordial relationship? As you come in, like the video, it's a free way to support the channel and it goes a long way. It really, really means a lot. I really appreciate that. And let me know what you think on this. I think that's going to be interesting, grieving and an interesting funeral with her being there, considering her son allegedly may have been the person that ended the life of her boyfriend. We'll be following this story, but may he rest in peace. Sorry you had to lose your life that way. Now we're going to get into Nichelle Nichols. And if you are a Trekkie, you know who she is. She is from the original Star Trek. She is so beautiful to me. She's so, so stunning. And she was in the original Star Trek here as Uhura, I believe was her name. And she passed away a few years ago, but apparently the hospital that she went to did not do right by her, and her family just got 13 million in a wrongful death lawsuit that they won because instead of getting her help, to they sent her to like a rehab assisted living facility instead of getting her proper treatment, and that ended up causing her to lose her life. So they found them liable. Let's get into this. As being reported by TMZ, the family of Nichelle Nichols was just handed a hefty sum after a jury awarded them millions in a lawsuit. The TV and film icon's estate was awarded 13 million as a result of a wrongful death lawsuit against Gila Medical Center in Silver City, New Mexico, where Nichols was treated in 2022. The legendary Nichols was a trailblazer as Lieutenant Uhura on Star Trek, the first Black woman to play a starring role on TV. Let me know if you remember the Star Trek. Did you watch that show? Did you like that show? Let me know in the comments here. And she also appeared and was a beloved character in several Star Trek films. Per the verdict sheet, Gila Regional Medical Center was 40% liable in the case, and one doctor being found 60% liable in the case. Woo! So they got that doctor. Local station KOAT7 reported the actress had a heart condition, and during a visit to the ER, she allegedly did not get the proper treatment and was transferred to an assisted living facility where she died hours later. She was 89 years old. Very sad, but I'm glad her family was able to get justice. And just a reminder, make sure you are keeping track of whatever is being done for health services, because if they do anything wrong that may cause your passing, or your passing of a family member, come after them just like this family did. Just because they're gone does not mean that justice should not be served. You should have to pay if you take somebody's life and they are no longer able to be here and contribute and bring happiness and joy to their family or take care of their family. You should be held liable to that, and congratulations to the family for doing so. The doctor, the staff, the place should have been more careful. There's no reason this legend should not be here today, and I'm glad you had to pay for it. Thank you so much for watching the show. I hope you have a beautiful start to your weekend. We will be on live for Messy Mondays. Make sure you catch that show weekly here. If it is messy, whether that be a relationship, a story, anything, drama, we will be talking about it. We did our last Messy Mondays on Ray J and his MMA knockout, and that fight being questioned whether or not he rigged it. And we talked about Kevin Hart's roast and that backlash that he got for Tony Hinchcliffe's joke on George Floyd. So go check that out. We may go live this weekend. Keep your notifications on so you can find out if we do. But wonderful rest of your morning, afternoon, or evening, and we'll see you later. Take care.